In this video, I'll walk you through how you can redeck your trailer. These are the steps that we took. Our utility trailer is a 6x10, and as you can see, it was in dire need for some repairs. The worst part, you don't even see, it's over on the side. But the first thing you want to do is get a screwdriver and a crescent wrench to unbolt all of the, if you have boards on the side, you'll want to unbolt those first. And then once you're done with that, you can go through and try and remove the screws from the frame. If you have problems, as you see here, what we ended up doing is we took a circ saw and removed most of them, and then we left the pieces that were having a problem right there. But if you cut them, it's a lot easier to remove the boards rather than trying to pry them out. And then we had these last two left where we simply needed to take a crowbar, or what we ended up doing is getting a drill bit and drilling bigger holes where the screws are so that we could then lift up the boards. And then the screws are left on the railing. And then once the screws are exposed, then you can either get an angle grinder or a hacksaw. What we ended up doing is just getting a hammer and hammering it on the side to remove them. Now that the boards are all removed and all of these screws are no longer protruding, then what you can do is get a wire brush on a drill to take off any obvious rust issues. If you don't have a wire brush extension, you can simply get a hand or a manual wire brush to do the job, or even just do some steel wool everywhere. Once you deal with the rust areas, the next thing you can do is get your compressor out, get some forced air to remove any debris that might be stuck or in hard to reach places. So that gets a lot of the clean, that gets most of the frame clean, so that then you can use Rust-Oleum to get some areas that might need some treatment. We just used a regular can of Rust-Oleum to spray paint the whole trailer before we added the other boards. Next, when it's time to add the boards, what we have is we have angle brackets on the front and the back. So you have to angle the boards in and also use a forced mechanism to get them in okay. And what we did was the first 4 or 5 boards we were able to put in simply by angling them over and then using a rubber mallet to bang them into place. And then the time came when we were down to our last 2 that we actually needed to bend the boards. And we actually saw this on another video and we thought it was genius. And what you want to do is, if you have and then what you need is something like a jack system, but you can't really use a cranking jack because that just won't work as well. You need something like a hydraulic jack to jack up the board in the middle while putting pressure on the sides. And you'll see what this looks like. Once we were able to get enough leverage underneath by having some extra boards, we were able to put a board on top and then put some pressure on the end and then release the jack. And as soon as we released it, that board went right into place. So then we just had to do it again. A little bit different because the board that we were using was too big. So we had to come up with some makeshift boards that were smaller that could do the trick for us. And then again, simply jacked it up with the hydraulic jack and then put pressure on it. And then we're able to put it in place where it goes underneath the angle brackets. So once all of the boards were done, the last thing to do was to measure out and replace these sideboards. If yours doesn't have sideboards, then no worries. We simply haul a lot of stuff that requires sideboards to keep everything in. So the biggest thing you do is measure everything out and then put the holes in and then replace the bolts where they were. Start to finish, that probably took about 4 hours, and that was including getting the items and waiting for the friend to bring her hydraulic jack over so that we could use it. So hopefully this video helps you, and thanks for watching.